Hey guys, so we're out here in my old barn, and I thought I would try to make a little progress on my pitch challenger, um, and go over a few things with you that I never did film when I got this. But first, we're in the old barn. It's sunny out today, but it's cold, and I'm gonna fuel up my kerosene heater and get it going and warm it up in here a little bit first. So the whole time I'm fueling this thing up, I'm thinking about these storage tanks you can get nowadays to hold your fuel in, your kerosene, your gasoline, whatever. How cheap they are and how unhappy I am with the choices. I think this is the second plastic spout I've had on this kerosene tank since I got it a year ago, and it leaks like crazy. The little safety clips on them just drive me nuts. You got to turn the tank clear upside down and push on it for that safety to release and the fuel to start coming in. Usually it just goes freaking everywhere, or you've got enough force on the spout that it cracks and breaks and bends, and it just never works. So the whole time I'm sitting here talking to myself and griping how I got to move it out of one tank into another, into something that I can actually transfer it into this heater easily. Okay. Yeah, it's a little warmer in here for a short while. It won't take long for it to drop again. But what I want to do in this video was just kind of go over the beginnings of why I've started doing this plane. When I always like to have a project I'm working on in the winter. And when I knew that it wasn't going to be working out, that I'd be building or working on the RV-12, I decided I wanted work on another big RC plane. In my previous video, you may have seen the MX2 that I have, the 50cc. I've had that, oh wow, I bet 15 years, somewhere in there. It's been longer than I think. And I decided when I went with another, that's basically a quarter scale. I'm not exactly sure of the scale, but it's 90-inch wingspan. I knew when I went with another large scale aircraft, I wanted to go with a biplane that was 3D capable and bigger than the previous plane, large scale plane I have. So when I started out with this idea, I wanted the 47% pitch challenger. This is the 40%, which is 87-inch wingspan. Not 47, it's 45%. It's a 107-inch wingspan, I believe, 106 or 7. But I ordered this one because it was going to be months before I could get the 45-inch or 45% version, which is way bigger than this one. But I ordered this from chiefaircraft.com. They deal on real airplane, electronics, and all kinds of stuff, and RC. They're big into RC aircraft, and one of their companies they deal with is Pilot RC, which is a China company, but they do a good job with these planes. But they had this one in stock, and I knew I could get it fairly quick. So I decided I'd just go with it. It still is, basically the same wingspan, but twice the motor or more. That's like I said, it's a DLE 130, and that in my other one's a DLE 55, I think they call it, CC gasoline engine. So this is still going to be a bigger challenge, a different plane that I'm excited about. So when it came, shoot, it basically came like you see it here without the horizontal stabilizer on it, in a box as practically as big as what my empennage kit came in. Here you see it. I've turned it into a table over here. That box that this plane come in was darn near that big. It was big. So it was kind of surprising, but it was just like it is. I mean, it's basically the fuselage in one piece, and then all your pieces and parts and everything that comes with it all packaged down in there. And I meant to do a video of the unpacking of it, and I was going to follow it all the way through, and man, we just got busy late in the summer. And but I got this late summer, early fall, got it in here, got it unpacked, and I started working on it maybe a month ago, starting to put all the electronics and everything I've chosen to use in it. When I ordered the plane, I just went ahead and ordered the engine with it from Chief Aircraft. You can get these DLE engines in a lot of places, but I got it as a package deal with this airplane, so it all come basically once, the plane and the engine. So when you do this, I would never recommend somebody early in their RC career or just starting out to ever get into a plane this kind of size and without some experience. You need to start out small, affordable, decide whether you like it, get good at it, learn the ins and outs of it, and you'll, if it's something you like, it'll grow on you and grow on you. And like me, I've done it all my life. So I started probably when I was 13 years old building a kit out of a box of wood, and I've just done it off and on ever since then. That's what really got me super interested in aviation. Other than the first time my dad took us an airplane ride, me and my brother, and I knew then that I wanted to fly for fun, if nothing else, in my life. But anyway, so this is the DLE 130, and this kit comes, I don't know if you can see, the firewall on the front is slanted, offset for the torque that the engine puts on the airframe so that it pulls straight when it's going. But it comes empty. There's nothing in here when you get it. You have to make all the choices of the radio gear you're going to use, whether you're going to use a smoke system at all. It did come with the fuel tank, but I decided from there on what I'd use. The Sullivan Skyrider smoke system pump I've got in my other MG2 or MX2 aircraft, and it's a great smoke system. Man, it'll pour the smoke out. So I decided it is set up. It can be used on this plane too, just as well. You can set it to pump more smoke fluid into your mufflers if you need it to provide more smoke. What it does is, and you can use like diesel fuel or kerosene in these, but it pumps through these black lines. It will pump the fluid into your hot mufflers and burn it after that. So I usually buy an actual smoke fluid because you can get them in colors and even smells. I think the one I've got smells kind of like root beer. But I've got this all set up to where this is your pump, this is where the fluid's stored, this is where your gasoline is stored, and there's two batteries here. One will run the smoke system and one will run the ignition for the engine. So also what I learned from the first plane was that I have to take some of it apart, like to choke the engine to get it started. I have to have the whole canopy off, and I pull a little lever that activates the choke, and I decided this time I want as much as possible to be able to be done by the radio. Get it to the field, check everything out, make sure it's all working correct, the canopy's on, everything's ready to go, and I can choke the airplane from the radio, I can shut the ignition off from the radio and from the outside of the plane here, which I'll show you here in a minute how I'm going to do that. But if you look under here, you can see I've got 2 servos set up. One is for the throttle and one is going to run the choke. And I'll be able to do that. This cowling fits over the whole thing. I've got the holes cut in the bottom where the exhaust exits come through, and that'll all be covered up. You won't see anything. I won't have any levers to pull for the choke or anything. Something else, this is a fuel dot, it's called, and it came with the plane. It's an actual pilot fuel dot that's magnetic, and all it is you hook your fuel hose that you will be filling your tank with to this. So I've got a little, I decided to mount it. Well, they've got actually holes for this. This was already had a hole to mount this into for the plane, but it, so that's where that went. So you put your fuel line here that you'll fill the tank with right there. So you don't have to be inside here or anywhere to fill the tank, but you can see it being fueled when you fill it. If you have this off, which is nothing to take the canopy off. It's right here. And I'll show you how it sets on here later. So, and then on the other side is where I'll fill the smoke tank. So I had to buy another fuel dot for this side. So I wanted another magnetic one. I like that magnet type idea. So this is where the smoke will be filled at, the smoke tank. Next, I just this past year decided I was going to upgrade the radios I've been using, and I went all Spectrum everything. Every chance I'm getting, I'm switching it all to Spectrum. I invested, the IX20 transmitter. I went ahead and pulled the trigger and got it, which I think it's $1,699. And I would never recommend somebody starting out. You don't need that much radio whatsoever. Most people, until you get into giant scale, where you need a lot more channels. And the more you've done it, the more you are able to utilize a radio like that. I was using this, an Optic 6, which is actually FM radio. You can't even use them anymore. I mean, you could if I was out here on my own farm or something, but now I use 2.4 gigahertz radios. I don't understand all that stuff, but it's safe. It's what everybody uses now. But this is the second of these receivers I've used. I swapped out my MX2 to this also. It's a 14 channel receiver that has battery redundancy built into it. So I can plug in 2 batteries exactly alike, and if for some reason one goes dead or short circuits and quits or something, the other takes over. So it's a real simple redundant type system. Also, it has several satellite receivers And you can look up videos about that online. But I've got like 4 of those. One here, one on this side of the plane, one up here underneath right here, and another one up front here. So it is very redundant and, you know, hard to lose radio signal with these new, and when you've got this much invested in it, you want everything on your side to try not to lose an airplane. Not that I don't. If you fly RC, you're gonna crash. It's just a matter of when, and you want to just make sure when it does happen, it's something that you didn't do. It's maybe an electronic problem or something that you feel like you've done everything you could before it happened to protect yourself from that and losing your investment. But like that, my green MX2, I've had that thing for 15 plus years, flown it off and on over the years. Knock on wood, I've only had one little mishap where I actually broke off the landing gear, but the way it broke, it was able to be mounted right back. You can't even tell it ever happened. But it was just a hard landing that was my fault. Well, I've let this video get a little longer than I'd planned on doing. I'm gonna bring it to a close here for this time. I hope you'll like and subscribe and follow along. I noticed on YouTube there's many videos of people flying giant scale and cool videos, but it's hard to find one that really starts and goes into all the details of all the equipment they put in, show how it's put in, how it works, and I kind of wanted to do that for people that are just maybe getting into giant scale a little bit, maybe help there, and show my setup, and maybe I'd learn something from somebody else that comments that tells me that I'm doing something wrong. So thanks for riding along, and we'll see you in the next video.